Helping us to unpack all of this is Mr. Andrew Mwata, who's a constitutional lawyer and social commentator. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Yeah, good morning, Kayla, and good morning, Maupe. So nice to see you this morning.
It's good to see you. We miss you in the studio. I wish you were in here. Okay, so let's start off with the NCAA and this rule about switching off your phones on flights. Some say this is a very good thing. At least everyone knows what the rules are now. And if you're boarding any flight, you know not to break the rules.
Yeah, thank you, Kayla. I think it's an idea whose time has come because the NCAA is the body empowered by law to make such regulations. Because what the Federal Road Safety Commission is to safety on the road is what NCAA, that's the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, is to air safety in Nigeria. So I think it's a simple instruction. Switch off your phone. It's just a 1 hour interval for local flights. And again, it is an international law by the International Civil Aviation Authority organization. It is a global one. There's no proper way to do the wrong thing. So I don't think putting your phone on flight mode is safe, right? Because not all devices, can stay within that, because it's a device. And again, most people don't put off their phones.
Yeah.
They hide on that flight mode to use their phones. That's why there's a strict law, aviation law, that now in Nigeria, you must put off your phone.
Indeed.
That airport incident where somebody was told to put off her phone and she refused, that incident would have been avoided. It's as simple as that.
Yes, it's pretty straightforward, because we get it. You need your phone in the airport sometimes, so that you can get your flight schedule. You can be able to, if you did it online, you need your. But at the point when you enter that airport, when you're boarding, now everyone knows to switch off your phone. That's the rule right now from the NCAA. So let's not have anyone else misunderstanding what's going on.
Well, some people will say it's not just so much. It's not so much. The rule has always been there.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
It's enforcement.
It's the enforcement of that rule that was the issue.
So what exactly are you hoping will change with regards to professionalism? Because that's one of the things that came to the fore with regards to the conversation that's held yesterday.
Okay, thank you, Maupe. I think looking at that,
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, should I proceed?
Yes, by all means, go ahead.
Okay, looking at that incident, from a legal standpoint, you want to say who is at fault. First, the fact that the passenger refused to switch off her phone, and even when he was to disembark, became unruly, that is totally unacceptable. But the way and manner in which she was evacuated from the aircraft, the fact that it was even male airport or the airline staff, instead of allowing able-bodied female, either officials of the airline or officials of the fan, and it is not for me acceptable. It does not even matter. It does not matter the manner of addressing, though a manner of addressing is also reprehensible. But you don't drag a woman like that. God forbid, she's a victim of something. It can pass out. In law, we say you take a victim as you find him or her, the eggshell rule. And imagine if you had such a situation.
Particular matter, but it's one of the matters that we're considering this morning, this issue of trying to finally sanitize and make sure that the aviation sector is set in order. There are a number of other issues. The by-election, the noise over it has still not ended. There are those who believe that if we're to go by the by-elections that INEC conducted over the weekend, then, there might not be much to look forward to in 2027. I wonder what Mr. Nwata would say about that, because there have been complaints. Well, some people will say, what elections have we conducted that there haven't been complaints?
Like we talked about yesterday with our guests, it's quite simple. Where people win, the justice was done. It was done fairly. Where you lose, oh, you were cheated. You know, and it's something that we've gotten to understand about politics in this country. But you see, this particular by-election also made us realize a few things about a lot of the political parties that we're looking at right now. In fact, the ADC was actually a very big topic with this particular by-election. And I think maybe Mr. Mwata would like to weigh in on that. Let's talk a little bit, Mr. Mwata, about the by-elections. And of course, this complaint, oh, everyone, if you win, it was done well. If you lose, they cheated you. And then, of course, the conversation around the ADC and how they performed in this particular election as a pointer to how we might be looking at 2027.
Yeah, thank you, Maope, for that question. The by-election, just like in the United States of America, when they have midterm elections, give Nigerians an understanding of the present politics and the future politics of 2027. The so-called major opposition party, the ADC, their performance is what I can describe as infra-dig. It was as if they were not in that election. Not even a single seat was won by them. Like in Edo State, for instance, they had a senatorial candidate. He didn't win a single ward. So for us, it appears that the race in 2027 will still be between the APC and the PDP. But in my state, Edo, PDP performed very poorly. You know, in some wards, PDP did not score more than 500 votes.
Well, there are people who, you know, by-elections are
and I mean, it leaves so much to be desired.
Mr. Nwata,
of a party that was once
sorry
a
to interrupt you. By-elections are sometimes, you know, the publicity around them usually is not very loud. I don't know when INEC started making noise about, you know, about conducting these elections. It's unclear how the political parties themselves, which also have a responsibility to let people know that such an election was coming up, it's unclear how they too alerted citizens or would-be voters to come out to vote. So sometimes it might not exactly give a very clear picture of what is expected. But in terms of the processes, which is where a lot of people look to, there have been complaints about the processes. There have been complaints about vote buying. There have been complaints about the fact that, well, I don't know if it's a fact, but there have been complaints about how in some instances where the processes went well, the people who were declared winners were not the actual winners. So I do not know for you if looking at the process of what transpired over the weekend, regardless of whether or not, you know, which party won, do you think that we can rely on INEC and its processes as is currently, you know, let's say constituted, to deliver on good elections come 2027?
But I think I disagree with you in the area of the publicity part you said, because I know these vacancies, most of them existed last year, and so much talk, so much pressure was on the need to fill these vacancies. Like in Edo State, the 2 vacant positions, you know, happened on the 11th or rather 12th of last year, November last year, when both the governor of Edo State and his deputy, you know, came into office, and their seats automatically became vacant. And of course, the people in these 2 constituencies have always yearned for an election to fill those vacancies. The governor, as the person who left that office, went around all the wards in Edo Central to campaign. So there was not publicity. You know, the same thing with the deputy governor who also campaigned. Even the governor also campaigned in the deputy governor's constituency. So there was so much of publicity. And in the election, people came out to vote. The PDP candidate in Edo Central defeated, or rather the APC candidate in Edo Central defeated the APC candidate with 105,000 votes. That's huge. I don't know of other states, but I can speak for Edo. The by-election that took place in Edo Central was peaceful, was credible and fair.
Oh dear. Well, he says he doesn't know about other states, but he's talking about Edo State. Let's not even get into the fact that in some of these states, it would appear that, you know, the dominant parties, the parties in power at the governorship level... Swept the polls. If he says that it was free and fair, we haven't heard any complaints from the opposition candidates. perhaps, we'll wait to hear and not complain on his behalf if he thinks that the process was fair and fair. Mr. Anambra, you keep going in and out, so we're hoping that this time around you'll stay for good. So let's talk a little about this crisis. I know it's not in Edo State, and royalty in Edo State is certainly very well respected. No one toys with the Oba of Benin. But I don't know what you make of this dispute between the Ooni of Ife and the Alaafin of Oyo. It was saying that historically there's been some rivalry of sorts between the two of them. Matters that even in some instances have gone to court. But in this is something that people were hoping would rest, especially with the new generation of Obas being, is it anointed now or appointed, as the case might be, coming to the throne, as the case is. As a matter of fact, the Alaafin of Oyo was only newly coronated. So what do you make of this dispute between the Alaafin of Oyo and the Ooni of Ife over a title that has been given a son of Yoruba land?
Yeah, thank you, Maupe. It has two sides, and I want to view it from those two perspectives. We have to look at it from the traditional and historical perspective, then also look at it from the legal perspective. So from the traditional perspective, I know for a fact, because I studied history and I did a bit of it under customary law, both as a student and as a law teacher, that the Ooni of Ife is the spiritual leader of the Yoruba nation. There's no doubt about that. Because if you trace the ancestral, background of Yorubas, they draw their background from Oduduwa, who first potted from above in Ife. And as such, the position of the Oni, Yorubas generally regard him as their spiritual leader. And when you now view that particular office from a legal standpoint, he's the head of the Council of Chiefs of Osun State, where his throne is situated. And as such, he has the power, by virtue of that Oduduwa, authority, to grant certain chieftaincies, even if it bears the toga of Yoruba land. Right? Because all Yorubas are descendants of Oduduwa. And the Oni represents Oduduwa on earth, as it were. So I don't think I agree with the Alaafin of Oyo, because he's just the royal father of the Oyo people, of the Oyo Empire, right? Which I don't think extended to Lagos or elsewhere. So for him to make those statements, you will not blame him, because like the position of Are Ona Kankafo, which Otumba Gani Adams occupy now, is usually conferred by the Alaafin, but by any stretch of the imagination, it does not extend to other titular positions. And if you look at history, you discover that the Western House of Chiefs, neither the Oni nor the Alaafin had exclusive chairmanship of that position. Unlike in a place like Edo, where the Oba of Benin sits as a live chairman by tradition of the Benin Traditional Council. So every state has its own nuances, but I don't think we're in the Western region for the Alaafin to think any traditional ruler is under his authority, because they belong to two different states, Oyo State and Osun State. And I think these issues will be resolved by historians who I think have maybe different perspectives. But what I've stated is the traditional history I know and what the law says.
Well, I do know that at some point the Oyo Empire extended as far as Dahomey, which traverses Lagos, and
just like the Benin Empire.
Exactly, and the Benin Empire as well. So let's not go into history. My standing on history might be faulty, but this dispute certainly is not looking good for Yoruba land, and we're hoping, as you've said, that this will be resolved one way or the other. Maybe. Do you think it will be one of those disputes that will never get resolved? I mean, that rivalry will always be there, however subtly it is, it shows itself.
I think it's a dispute that is rooted in ancient antiquity, as old as time, because, you wonder when you have traditional rulers, having almost equal status, there's bound to be that, dispute, that supremacy battle. And I think it will be there for a very long time.
I mean,
but they belong
when it
to
comes to
different
Yoruba
states.
culture.
The irony is that they belong to 2 different states, so they should just maintain their fiefdoms. You know.
I mean, when it comes to Yoruba culture, my goodness, I mean, this particular story, we'll see how it unfolds. The Onion said he's not going to respond, but the Alafin says he has the exclusive rights to give titles in Yoruba land. So we'll be watching to see, but the deadline, he gave him a 48-hour deadline.
Which expires
and
today.
And it expires today, so we'll see what happens by the end of today. Now, let's take it to Anambra State. This story about this core member, and it's not just her, her and a few other, I think there are about 6 in total. This Agune Chemba, this local security outfit in Anambra State that has been, you know, commissioned by the governor. It does a lot of work when it comes to security in Anambra State. Well, we're seeing these visuals. It's been going on for a while. This conversation has been going on, where they came into this house. They said they were chasing cultists or criminals or whatever, and then they ran into this area, according to the Agune Chemba people, and they went in there. And the treatment that was meted out to these core members who identified themselves, they brought out their cards, they said, we are core members, look at our uniforms, we're not criminals, who are you? There are so many questions that have come up about that, and then that disgraceful act of tearing her clothes, tearing her, stripping her naked. I don't know what part of the security protocol calls for the tearing of people's clothes. And these are core members who are not from Anambra State, by the way. So it's brought a lot of questions. The NYSC DG, we're trying to hear what he has to say about this. The Anambra State government, the police, where are these culprits? We heard that they have been arrested. Where are they? Can we see them? Can we know where they are? There's so many issues around this particular matter. So, Mr. Mwata, just talk to us a little bit about this situation and where the numerous balls that were dropped in the process.
Yeah, thank you, Kayla. I saw that video for the first time yesterday on TikTok, and I won't tell you, as a father of a daughter and a husband to a wife, that I felt that dehumanization that youth corper was subjected to. What is her offense? She was serving her country. And people who claim, and I think the governor of Anambra owed Nigerians an explanation. You are the chief security officer of that state. I saw in BBC Pidgin a response by his special advisor on community affairs. Do you know that a thing like that can create a civil war if that person is not from that state? You don't treat a human being like that. Just as I mentioned earlier, the eggshell rule in law says you take a victim as you find him. The way and manner she was attacked, it was a case of attempted murder by people who claim to be security personnel. We talk of unknown gunmen in the southeast. Those people were unknown gunmen, dressed in mufti. You are pursuing, was she a cultist? And even the law does not allow you to do that. Section 36 of, 6 of our constitution says every person, 5, I beg your pardon, every person accused of a criminal offense is presumed to be innocent until his guilt is proven. And even Section 35 talked about dignity of a human person. That lady was not properly treated. And if I were a member of our family, we will bring a fundamental rights action against the Anambra State government, including the Oguneba group under their watch. We were asking for 5 billion naira. You don't treat a human being like that, unprovoked. So I think the governor of Anambra should explain to Nigerians what has happened. Because these people, they are not vigilante. They are criminals. They are animals. They don't deserve to even bear arms. This is a democracy. Section 14 sub 2 of the Constitution says the security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government. In that area, the Anambra State governor has failed. And I think he has to explain to Nigerians, because that is not just an injury to that lady or to core members in Nigeria, but to the collective sensitivity of women,
Nigerian people.
Womanhood.
Mr. Mwata, you know, we understand in every security outfit, whether it is the police, the military, there'll be bad eggs. We get it. Now, the issue is, after this event happened, after this terrible, disgraceful thing happened with Agune Chemba officers, what has happened? Where are the people? They said they've been arrested. Where are they? There are rumors that they are not even in the state anymore. So it's the actions afterwards that I want you to be able to speak to. So yes, we've seen that this was disgraceful, it was terrible. But where are those who are supposed to be held to account? And you mentioned the governor, which is a very important point. What's he doing about this? Because justice has to be seen to be done, not just telling us we've arrested them or investigations are going on. We need to be able to see that justice is being done. What do you think the governor should be doing differently so that people do not Because he does have an image to protect as well. What should the Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, be doing right now about this situation?
Thank you. Remember we had a similar situation in Edo, and what did the governor of Edo State do? He disbanded that security outfit. This incident took place in July, but I can assure you that nothing has been done to disband that security outfit. And even it brings to question the need to regulate the activities of vigilante groups in Nigeria. But I think if it is state established, it is the duty of the state to also regulate, profile, and train the security outfits. And I'm not one of those who support state police. When you see things like this, it brings out the danger, the mischief behind state police. Because the federal police we are managing, we've had the EdSARS protests and what have you, to now allow people who are not properly trained to manage security in itself is a threat to security. And as such, we expect action on the part of the Anambra State government. We expect action on the part of civil society groups in Anambra State, because I know they exist. They should take up this matter before the National Human Rights Commission. I expect an action to be filed in court, and I expect the Inspector General of Police to come into this matter and ensure that those people are properly prosecuted and they are tried for what they did. It was a case of attempted murder and nothing more.
Well, Mr. Anambra, I know that certainly this is a conversation that is ongoing. As a matter of fact, you understand that the NYSC, as a body, as an institution, has now reacted to this matter. They say that they are saddened by the unfortunate assault on one of their female corps members by some operatives of the Anambra State Vigilante Group in Oba, Idemili South local government area of Anambra State. They say they strongly condemn the unacceptable and dehumanizing manner in which the operatives conducted their operations, irrespective of the initial justification for the purported investigation they set out to carry out at the facility where the corps members were accommodated. They say they trust that they hope they get justice for the corps member in question and any other aggrieved party. And they say that the necessary administrative procedures are underway to assist the corps member in question in managing the physiological and psychological trauma resulting from the unfortunate incident. It's like a 6 or 7 paragraph statement that they have released, and I think that certainly we'll be looking forward to the coming days to see just how strongly the steps the NYSC takes in this regard. A lot more to discuss with you, but we're totally out of time, Mr. Anambra. We have to thank you so much for speaking with us this morning. Mr. Anambra is a constitutional lawyer and a social commentator, and has been speaking to us from Benin. Thank you so much.
Thank you.